My sister's laughter stopped mid-breath when she read the number on the paper. Her husband's smug smile vanished. And my mother went completely pale as she looked from the document to me and back again. Because the cute money job they'd been mocking for the past 2 years, it came with a salary that was triple what my brother-in-law made. And a non-disclosure agreement they just violated. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and tell me where you're watching from. My name is Iris, and I'm 29 years old. I'm a video game narrative designer at a major gaming studio in Los Angeles. I write storylines, dialogue, character arcs, and quest chains for old 8A games. Games you've definitely heard of, games that have won awards, games that millions of people play. But my family has no idea what I actually do. To them, I write stories for video games, which sounds in their words like playing pretend for money. I have one older sister. Brielle is 33. She's married to a man named Garrett who works in pharmaceutical sales. They have one daughter, Madison, who's 7. Brielle hasn't worked since Madison was born. Brielle has always been the golden child, prom queen, sorority president, perfect wedding. Everything she did was celebrated. Everything I did was interesting. When Brielle got engaged at 24, my parents threw her a massive engagement party. When I told them I'd gotten my dream job at 26, my mom said, "That's nice, honey, very creative." When Brielle bought a house with Garrett, my parents helped with the down payment. When I bought my condo 2 years ago, my dad asked, "Can you really afford that on a gaming salary?" But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was how they talked about my career, like it was a hobby, like it was something I'd eventually grow out of. "When are you going to get a real job?" My dad would ask. "This is a real job," I'd say. "You know what I mean, something stable, corporate." I made more than most corporate jobs, but I'd stopped trying to explain that. It started getting really bad about 2 years ago. At a family dinner, Garrett was talking about his sales numbers. "I closed 3 major accounts this quarter," he said proudly, "made the company over $2 million in revenue." My parents were impressed. "That's incredible, Garrett," my mom gushed. My dad nodded. "That's what real success looks like." I was sitting right there, at the same table, having just shipped a game that made $600 million from ours in its first month, a game I'd been lead narrative designer on. But I didn't say anything because I'd signed an NDA, couldn't talk about projects until they were publicly released, couldn't share details about my roles, couldn't even mention which studio I worked for on social media, so I just sat there, eating my pasta, being invisible. "What about you, Iris?" Garrett asked, smirking. "How's the game writing going?" "It's good," I said. "We just shipped a major title." "That's cute," Brielle said. "Making up little stories for children's games?" "It's not a children's game," I said quietly. "It's rated M." "Still," she said, waving her hand. "It's not exactly serious work." My dad jumped in. "Iris is doing what makes her happy. That's what matters." It sounded supportive, but the subtext was clear. She's doing what makes her happy because she can't do anything important. I didn't correct them. What was the point? Over the next year, it got worse. Every family gathering became an opportunity for Garrett to talk about his success, and for my family to subtly imply I was wasting my potential. "You went to Northwestern," my mom said once. "You could have been a lawyer, a doctor, something prestigious." "I'm happy with what I do," I said. "But are you financially stable?" I wanted to laugh. I just signed a new contract. $340,000 base salary, plus bonuses tied to game performance, plus stock options. My total compensation package was worth nearly $500,000, but I couldn't say that. Because of the NDA. Because talking about my salary would violate the confidentiality agreement I'd signed. So I just said, "I'm doing fine." "Well, if you ever need help," my mom said, "you know we're here." They'd never offered to help me, but they assumed I needed it. Last Thanksgiving was when things really escalated. We were all at my parents' house. Brielle, Garrett, Madison, me. Garrett was in a particularly good mood. He'd just gotten a promotion. "They're making me regional sales director," he announced. Six-figure salary now. Finally broke into the big leagues. My parents applauded, literally applauded. "We're so proud of you, Garrett," my dad said. Brielle beamed. "We're thinking of upgrading to a bigger house. With Garrett's new salary, we can finally afford it." My mom turned to me. "See, Iris, this is what career growth looks like." I took a sip of wine, said nothing. "How much are you making now, Garrett?" my dad asked. $120,000 base, plus commission. Garrett said, "Could hit $150,000 with a good year." Everyone was impressed. And they should have been. $150,000 was great money, but I was making more than triple that. And no one knew. No one asked. "What about you, Iris?" Brielle asked. "Are you still doing the video game thing?" "Yes." "How much does that even pay?" I paused. "I can't disclose my salary. NDA. Garrett laughed. "An NDA for a video game job? That's adorable." Brielle joined in. "What, are you afraid someone's going to steal your princess rescue plot?" Even my parents chuckled. "It's standard in the industry," I said calmly. "All creative roles have confidentiality clauses." "Sure they do," Garrett said, still smiling. "I'm sure you're making, what, 50,000, 60,000? I didn't respond. "It's cute money," Brielle said, reaching over to pat my hand. "We're not judging. Not everyone needs to make big money to be happy." "Cute money," I excused myself, went to the bathroom, stared at myself in the mirror, and something hardened inside me. I didn't know then, but I was about to get an opportunity. 2 weeks after Thanksgiving, my boss called me into his office. "Iris, we need to talk about your contract." My stomach dropped. Was I being let go? "The studio wants to give you a raise," he said. "Your work on Echoes of Eternity was exceptional. The critical reception, the sales numbers, the player feedback, it's all tied directly to your narrative design." Echoes of Eternity was the game I'd been lead narrative on, the one that had made $600 million in its first month, won Game of the Year, had a 95% positive rating. "We're prepared to offer you a new 3-year contract," he continued, with a significant bump. He slid a paper across the desk. I read the number. $425,000 base salary. Performance bonuses up to $150,000. Stock options valued at $200,000 over 3 years. Total package potentially $775,000. "This also comes with a promotion," he said. "Senior narrative director, you'd be leading narrative on all our major franchises." I was speechless. "There's one catch," he said. "The NDA gets stricter. You can't discuss salary, projects and development, or your role in shipped titles without clearance standard for this level." I signed it that day. I wanted to tell my family. I wanted to show them I wasn't making cute money, that I was successful, that I'd built something meaningful. But I couldn't. The NDA was ironclad. So I just kept going to family dinners, kept listening to Garrett brag, kept hearing Brielle make comments about my little creative job, until Christmas. Christmas Eve at my parents' house. The whole family was there. Brielle and Garrett had just bought their new house. A massive 4-bedroom in a gated community. They'd brought photos. "The mortgage is steep," Garrett said, "but with my promotion, we can swing it." My parents oohed and awed over every picture. "What about you, Iris?" Brielle asked, "and still in that little condo?" "I like my condo," I said. "It's cute," she said. "Very starter home." My condo was 1,800 square feet in Venice Beach, worth $1.2 million, that I'd bought with cash, but I didn't say that. "Have you thought about upgrading?" my mom asked. "Maybe finding a place with more space? For when you settle down." "I'm settled," I said. "You know what she means," Brielle said. "A real house. For a family." I was 29 and single by choice. But to them, that meant I was failing. Garrett leaned back. "You know, Iris, if you ever need career advice, I'm happy to help. I know some people in marketing could probably get you an entry-level position. Real money, real benefits." "I'm fine with my career," I said. "Are you, though?" Brielle asked. "I mean, how long can you really do the video game thing? Don't you want stability?" "I have stability." "Do you?" my dad asked. Because we worry, honey. You're almost 30. You don't have a husband, kids, a traditional career. I don't want those things, I said. Everyone wants those things, my mom said. You're just being stubborn. I felt something crack inside me. Later that night, I was helping my mom with dishes, just the two of us in the kitchen. I'm sorry if we were hard on you earlier, she said softly. We just worry. I looked at her, and I saw it. Real concern. I grew up in a generation where women needed security, she continued, a husband, a stable job. And I see you out there alone doing this unconventional work, and I get scared for you. She touched my arm. I just want you to be okay, to be taken care of. And for a moment, I softened. She wasn't trying to hurt me. She was trying to protect me in her own misguided way. I am okay, Mom, I said gently. I promise. But how do we know? She asked. You never talk about money. You never talk about your future. How are we supposed to stop worrying? You could trust me, I said. She smiled sadly. I want to. I really do. But then we went back into the living room, and Garrett was talking about his year-end bonus, and my dad was telling him how proud he was, and Brielle was showing off her new designer purse. And the moment shattered. After Christmas, I tried to let it go, tried to accept that they'd never see me the way I wanted them to. But then Brielle called. Hey, I need a favor, she said. What's up? Madison wants to go to summer camp. It's $3,000. We're a little short this month with the new mortgage. Can you spot us? I paused. Brielle, I thought Garrett's promotion meant you were financially comfortable. We are. It's just, the house is expensive and you don't have kids. So $3,000 is probably easier for you. Why would it be easier for me? Because you make, $60,000 and you only have to support yourself. We have 3 people to think about. I was quiet. So can you help or not? She asked, annoyed. I can't, I said. Seriously, it's your niece. I'm not your ATM, Brielle. Wow, okay, I'll remember this. She hung up, and I knew it was going to blow up. 2 days later, I got a group text from Brielle to the whole family. Just want everyone to know that Iris refused to help Madison go to camp. Guess we know where her priorities are. I stared at my phone. Then the responses started. Mom, Iris, why wouldn't you help your niece? Dad, that seems unlike you. Garrett, must be nice to have no responsibilities. I typed and deleted 5 responses, then settled on, I'm not obligated to fund your lifestyle choices. Brielle, my lifestyle choices? You mean wanting to send my daughter to camp? Me, you bought a house you can't afford and expect me to cover the gap. Garrett, we can afford our house. We just don't have disposable income like you do sitting around writing fan fiction. Fan fiction, that's what he called my job. The job that had just earned me a $750,000 contract. And something inside me snapped. I opened my laptop, pulled up my contract, the new one. There was a clause I had noticed but hadn't thought much about. Section 12.4, Disclosure Exceptions. Employee may disclose compensation details if required by law for financial planning purposes or in cases of defamation where silence would materially harm employees' reputation or career prospects. Defamation. Garrett had just publicly called my work fan fiction. My family was questioning my financial stability. They were treating my career as a joke. That qualified. I called my company's legal department, explained the situation. Can I disclose my salary under the defamation exception? The lawyer thought about it. Given that they're publicly questioning your professional credibility and financial stability, and that silence is allowing those false narratives to persist. Yes, you'd be within your rights. But I'd recommend doing it in a controlled way. What do you suggest? Documentation. Show them the contract. Let them see the NDA. Make it clear why you couldn't disclose before and why you're disclosing now. I thanked her, and I started planning. I sat with the contract for 2 days, trying to decide if I really wanted to do this. Part of me wanted to just walk away, cut contact, let them think whatever they wanted. But another part of me was tired. Tired of being underestimated, tired of being the punchline, tired of watching my achievements be dismissed while Garrett's were celebrated. I thought about staying quiet, about being the bigger person, about not making waves. But then I got another text from Brielle. Mom and Dad agree with us. You should help family. But I guess your little game job doesn't pay enough for you to be generous. It's okay. We understand you're struggling. I wasn't struggling. I was thriving, and I was done pretending otherwise. I invited my family to lunch. My parents, Brielle, Garrett. I said I wanted to clear the air. They all came, probably expecting an apology. We met at a restaurant, sat down, ordered. So, my dad said, are you ready to apologize for how you spoke to your sister? No, I said calmly, but I am ready to show you something. I pulled out a folder. Inside was my contract, the new one. I've been wanting to share this for a while, I said, but I couldn't because of this. I pointed to the NDA section, read it aloud. I've been legally prohibited from discussing my salary, my projects, or my role since I started. That's why I couldn't tell you what I make. Not because I don't make much, but because I was bound by law. Brielle rolled her eyes. Okay, but however, I continued, there's an exception clause for defamation. When someone publicly makes false claims about my work that harm my professional reputation. I looked at Garrett. You called my work fan fiction, publicly, in a group text. He shifted uncomfortably. That qualifies as defamation, which means I can now disclose what I've been unable to share. I slid the contract across the table. Open to the compensation page. Read the salary clause, the one you laughed at. Brielle picked it up first, started reading. Her expression changed. Confusion, then shock, then disbelief. This can't be right. It's right, I said. Garrett grabbed it, read it. His face went white. 425,000? He said quietly. Base salary, yes. My mom took the paper, read it slowly, looked up at me with wide eyes. Iris, you make this much? Yes. Plus performance bonuses, plus stock options. My total package is potentially $775,000. The table went silent. That's more than... My dad trailed off. More than Garrett makes, I finished, and significantly more, about 6 times more, actually. Garrett's face was red. Brielle looked like she'd been slapped. You've been making this the whole time? Brielle whispered. Not this exact amount, but I crossed $250,000 3 years ago. This is my 3rd raise. And you never told us, my mom said. I couldn't. NDA, which I tried to explain, but you all assumed it meant I was making peanuts. I looked at each of them. You called my job cute money. You offered me entry-level positions. You questioned my stability. You asked if I needed financial help. My voice was steady. Meanwhile, I've been one of the highest paid people in this family for years. I own my condo outright. I have a 7-figure investment portfolio. I'm financially set for life. Why didn't you tell us? My dad asked. I tried, I said. But every time I mentioned my NDA, you laughed. You said it was adorable. You didn't take it seriously. I pulled out my phone, showed them screenshots. Here's Garrett calling my work fan fiction. Here's Brielle saying I make cute money. Here's the group text where you all implied I'm struggling financially. I put my phone down. I stayed quiet because I had to, but you all made assumptions, and then you used those assumptions to belittle me. Garrett stood up. I need some air. He walked outside. Brielle was crying. I can't believe you make that much and you wouldn't help with Madison's camp. I stared at her. You make that much and you refuse to help, she repeated. Brielle, I said slowly, you asked me for $3,000 while sitting in a house you can't afford, after questioning my career for years, after calling my job cute money. But you have it. That's not the point. My mom put her hand on Brielle's arm. Honey, she's right. We've been terrible. Brielle pulled away. She makes $750,000 and won't help her niece. I spent the last 2 years listening to you mock my career, I said. You told me I was wasting my potential. You implied I was financially unstable. You laughed at my NDA, and then you had the audacity to ask me for money. I leaned forward. You don't get to treat someone like garbage and then demand their help. Brielle grabbed her purse and left. After she was gone, my parents sat there, looking shell-shocked. I don't understand, my dad said finally. If you were making this much, why did you let us think? Think what? I asked. That I was struggling. I didn't let you think anything. You assumed, and when I tried to correct you, you didn't listen. My mom wiped her eyes. I'm so sorry. I thought you were barely getting by. Living in that little condo, never talking about money. My condo is worth $1.2 million, Mom. I bought it with cash. It's not little. You just never asked about it. My dad leaned back. You've been the most successful one of all of us, me, he said quietly. And we've been treating you like you were failing. Yes. He put his face in his hands. I'm so sorry, Iris. I'm so sorry. And for the first time, I saw it. Real remorse. Not embarrassment at being wrong, but genuine regret for hurting me. I want to make this right, he said. Tell me how. I don't know if you can. I said honestly, this isn't about one apology, it's about years of disrespect. Then let us try, my mom said. Please, let us try to do better. I thought about it. Okay, I said finally. But things have to change. Anything. First, you never question my career again. What I do is real work, skilled work, important work, and I need you to respect that. They nodded. Second, you stop comparing me to Garrett or Brielle or anyone else. My path is different. That doesn't make it less valuable. Agreed. And third, I said, you start seeing me for who I actually am, not who you think I should be. My mom reached across the table, took my hand. I see you now, she whispered, and I'm so proud of you. I should have said that years ago. My dad nodded. You built something incredible, and we were too blind to see it. Over the next few months, things slowly changed. My parents started asking about my work, really asking. When my game won another award, my dad posted about it on Facebook. So proud of our daughter Iris, senior narrative director at one of the top gaming studios in the world. It was the first time he'd ever publicly acknowledged my career. Brielle took longer. She didn't speak to me for 2 months, then she called. I was jealous, she said. I've been jealous of you for years. I was surprised. Why would you be jealous of me? Because you did it on your own, she said. You built this incredible career. You're independent. You don't need anyone. And I'm completely dependent on Garrett. If he left, I'd have nothing. Her voice cracked. And instead of admitting I was jealous, I tore you down. I made your success seem small so I could feel better about myself. She was quiet. I'm sorry for all of it. Thank you, I said. Can we start over? She asked. We can try. Garrett never apologized. He stopped coming to family dinners. Brielle said he was embarrassed. He's been telling everyone at work about his big promotion, she said. And then finding out his sister-in-law makes 6 times what he does. It hurt his ego. That's not my problem, I said. I know, she said. But it's mine. He's been different since that lunch, distant, angry. She paused. I think we might separate. I didn't know what to say. I know it sounds crazy, she continued, but this whole thing made me realize how much of my identity is tied to him, his job, his success. And now that I see what real success looks like, I want that for myself. What do you mean? I'm going back to school, she said, for my MBA. I'm going to build my own career, not just be Garrett's wife. I smiled. I think that's great, Brie. Last week, I got invited to speak at a gaming conference, a panel on narrative design. I told my family about it, and for the first time ever, they all came. My parents sat in the front row. Brielle brought Madison. Even my younger brother flew in to watch. I talked about my work, about crafting stories that matter, about building worlds that people escape into, about the responsibility of creating narratives for millions of players. And when it was over, my parents stood up and applauded. Not politely, loudly. My dad had tears in his eyes. I had no idea, he said afterward. I had no idea the scope of what you do. I'm so sorry I dismissed it. My mom hugged me tight. You're incredible. What you've built is incredible, and I'm sorry it took me so long to see it. Madison tugged on my sleeve. Aunt Iris, are you famous? I laughed. Not famous, but I'm good at what I do. You're famous to me, she said. And that felt better than any apology. Later that night, I sat in my hotel room, looked at my contract again, at the salary Brielle had laughed at. They'd called it cute money, said I was making it up, treated my career like a hobby, and I'd proven them all wrong, not by rubbing it in their faces, not by being petty, but by simply showing them the truth. The clause they laughed at was real. The NDA they mocked was legitimate. The career they dismissed was extraordinary, and now they knew. My sister said my job was cute money, so I let her read the salary clause she'd laughed at, and I watched her realize that cute money pays for 3 of her houses. I didn't need their approval anymore. I didn't need them to see me, but it felt good that they finally did, not because it validated me, but because it meant I could finally stop carrying their doubt. I'd built something real, something valuable, something that mattered, and whether they saw it or not, it was always there. I just stopped hiding it,